presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Sun.
Yesterday at the Trop, the Rays got the better of former ace David Price, with Brandon Guyer leading the offensive charge. And Matt Moore taking care of matters on the mound, tossing 7 shutout innings. Tonight, Jake Odorizzi goes to the hill in the opener of a 4-game set versus Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the Rays homestand continues. Team 2 of a 3-team homestand, and the Rays will take on the Detroit Tigers. They have something to settle with the Tigers, dropping the series 2-1 in Detroit. Tonight begins a 4-game series here at Tropicana Field. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Rays are still looking for their first winning homestand. Off to a good start. They took 2 out of 3 from Boston. And Logan Forsythe at the top of the order had a lot to do with that. The Rays are going to also have to contend with Miguel Cabrera in the middle of the Tigers order.
Well, let's start with the good news first. Let's start with Logan Forsythe, and I'll tell you, he's had a nice little run here over his last 5 games to get his batting average up to 300 on the season. And in the 5 games, 3 of them have been multi-hit games, and you see the numbers right there. That tape measure shot out to the tarpon left, impressive. But what's been very good about Logan Forsythe in this stretch and really overall is his approach. That up the middle, the other way approach. He goes up, he can drive that ball into the right center field gap with authority and then react to the ball in to be able to pull it for power. That's what Logan's doing right now. And Miguel Cabrera, the Rays still looking for an answer against him. Look how easy that swing was. That's how strong Miguel Cabrera is going out to right field, and then a couple of tape measure blasts to center. He is beat up on the Rays this season in 11 at-bats, 6 hits, 3 of them have left the building, and so they will look to change their approach against Miguel Cabrera. Good luck, because he's one of the best hitters in the game.
Today is the last month of June. That means the monthly reports are due. And for Evan Longoria, that's going to be a good one. Todd Kalas will take a look at Longo's big month of June when we come back.
getting ready on this final day of June to take on the Tigers in the first of a 4-game series. Rays have the exact same record in June as they did in May, 11-16. Longo is one guy that will not like to see the calendar page turn because he has been on fire this entire month. Earlier in the month, there was a lot of home runs. As we take a look at the Toyota keys to success, you can see that those 9 home runs matching what he did in both April and May combined. 18 RBIs, the most of any month, and that slugging percentage a full 124 points higher than the month of May. We caught up with Evan before the game and asked him about his success in June.
It's been a positive month for me offensively, and like I said earlier, I wish it would have translated better for us overall as a group. But just really trying to go out and do the same things that I've been doing every day to try and do my part to contribute to the team.
Still has a chance to set the Rays team record with 1 more home run, snapping a tie that Jose Canseco set back in 1999 for home runs in June. We'll have baseball in less than 3.5 minutes. It's the Rays and the Tigers, the first of 4. Enjoy all the action coming up next on Fox Sports Sun.
Jake Odorizzi heads to the mound tonight to open the series against the Detroit Tigers. Rays come in 33-44, and the Tigers 40-38. And Jake makes his 17th start of the year, looking for his 4th win. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Detroit, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Ian Kinsler will lead off. Cameron Maybin, who was very hot when the Rays played the Tigers in Detroit, still hot. He'll hit second in front of Miguel Cabrera. Victor Martinez, Nick Castellanos, and Justin Upton down the middle. Stephen Boy is in right. Jared Saltalamacchia will catch. Jose Iglesias is the shortstop, batting ninth.
Well, Jake Odorizzi's looking for some action. I mean, this guy leads the charge for the no decision in his 16 starts, 10 no decisions, a 3-3 record. But over his career and a couple of starts last year against the Detroit Tigers, he has been very good against this team.
Looking for a little less talk and a lot more action tonight when it comes to a decision for Jake Odorizzi.
We're looking for that in a lot of corners.
And the first pitch, Ian Kinsler takes a strike. I'm with you, brother.
That has been the theme of the day since we got together for our production meeting.
Yep.
It's been that. It's been zip your lip and go get it done.
That's exactly right. That's what we plan on doing, and we'll see how the evening turns out. Pitch a little wide. It's 1-1. Kinsler starts the night hitting .295. A little high right there, 2-1. Adam Hamara is calling the balls and strikes. Hamari was behind the plate when Tim Lincecum threw his no-hitter a couple of years ago for the Giants. And he's not afraid to call a strike. 2-2 the count now. There's Maben on deck.
Has Adam Hamari been on our flights? Is he on the team flight? Because it seems like every other series, Adam Hamari is in the rotation.
He tends to be in the rotation. He was in Baltimore. Well, Kinsler's out on strikes on the fastball, and that's the way this one starts.
Well, let's take a look at that Rays defense. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source, and in the outfield left to right, Corey Dickerson back out there with Desmond Jennings and Brandon Geyer, and then across the infield third to first, Longoria, Miller, Forsythe, and Morrison. Hank Conger gets the call behind the plate.
One away for Cameron Maben. Well, remember him in Detroit. He came off the DL and was red hot in that series. Here's a nice pitch for a strike. Pitch out there on the corner, a fastball. Ground ball, and there's a hit into right in between Morrison and the bag. And Maben is on his first time up tonight.
Yeah, they had pulled Logan Morrison out of his normal position at first base, shading him a little bit more towards the second base position, giving Maben the first base line, and he gladly takes it right there, lets that ball get into the zone, a little late with the swing, and slaps it right by Morrison.
For that first game in that Detroit series, up there he went 3 for 4, hit a home run, had 3 hits in the second game of that series, and drove in a couple runs in the last game of that series. And here's a base hit the first time up tonight. Now Miguel Cabrera.
And keep your eye on him as far as the running game goes.
Ground ball third. Longoria out at second. Forsythe to Morrison out at first. 5-4-3. Boy, that's the kind of first inning that Jake Odorizzi has been looking for. Detroit, We'll take a look at the lineup. Logan Forsythe's going to lead it off. This lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brad Miller follows, and then Evan Longoria, Logan Morrison, Brandon Geyer, and Corey Dickerson, 4, 5, and 6, followed by Desmond Jennings, Oswaldo Arcia, and Hank Conger.
And taking the mound tonight for the Detroit Tigers is going to be right-hander Jordan Zimmermann, making his 15th start of the season. Good numbers across the board, 9-4 record, ERA 3.81. The Rays did see him in that series up in Detroit, May the 22nd. He was off to a pretty good start against the Rays, but had to come out of that game with a strained groin and just hasn't quite been the same pitcher since coming back. So it'll be interesting to see what Zimmermann features here tonight.
Yeah, he's a guy they added to their rotation, looking for a ton of quality innings from him. And Logan Forsythe thinks the first pitch too high. 1 ball, no strikes. Forsythe hitting it even 300 to start the game tonight. 1-1.
Zimmermann, one of those pitchers that is going to set the pace. I mean, he works quickly, you know, old school style of pitcher, attack the zone and attack quickly.
Foul ball out of play. 1-2. Yeah, he's a throwback, and to wear a traditional uniform like the Detroit Tigers, you'd expect to see him in an old volume of the Detroit Tigers yearbook in black and white photos, and he'd fit right in. That's the kind of pitcher he is. A 2-ball, 2-strike count. No nonsense out there.
No.
Grew up on a farm. I mean, it's the quintessential 1943 Detroit Tigers story. Base hit into right for Forsythe toward the line. Moya's going to have to go over and get it and has trouble corralling it. Forsythe is going to try for 3. He's going to make it. All the way to third. Logan Forsythe. Moya had trouble corralling it down there in the right field corner.
Yeah, that ball was horribly misplayed by Steven Moya, and it cost the Detroit Tigers and Jordan Zimmermann an extra base. Nice job of staying inside that ball, keeping it fair, and then that ball gets by Moya. That's all it took. Logan Forsythe right there, eyes, and as soon as he sees that ball get by him, he then directs his attention towards third base, and there he is.
You know, Forsythe hustles all the time, but he had an extra gear when he saw that ball bounding around there and wound up at third. So it's a double and an error. And now Brad Miller has a chance to put the Rays out in front.
And that's why that extra gear came into play. I mean, getting to third with nobody out now, no excuse not to get him in, and Logan understood that.
1-1. Miller hitting .253. Only 3 at-bats in his career against Zimmermann. He's 0 for 3. Now 1-2 the count.
Zimmermann has now put himself in position to try to go for the strikeout. Not a huge part of his game. You know, he's got 57 strikeouts and 89 2/3 innings, but you get to this situation, runner on third, nobody out, 2 strikes on the hitter. You're thinking, how can I best put him away?
There's a liner to first caught by Cabrera. Right at him, and that's the first out.
Well, let's take a look at that Detroit Tiger defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. In the outfield left to right, we have Justin Upton, Cameron Maben, and Steven Moya. Across that infield third to first, Nick Castellanos, Jose Iglesias, Ian Kinsler, and Miguel Cabrera, with Jared Saltalamacchia behind the plate.
Well, Evan Longoria stepping in here, tied for 9th in the league with 18 home runs. Takes a pitch a little close. 1-0.
I think for a split second there, they wanted to maybe take a look and see if that ball hit him, and Evan said, no. Say, remember the ball off the end of the bat? That didn't hit me either. Let me swing.
Pitch is down. 2-0. And a strike, 2-1. Edman was 1 for 3 against Zimmerman in Detroit. It's off the plate. Zimmerman being careful here with Longoria. Infield partially in. And there's ball 4 inside. So a very cautious Jordan Zimmerman walks Longoria, putting him in at first and third for Logan Morrison.
You know, he tried to just hit him and get it out of the way early.
Save some pitches.
Yeah, and Evans said, no, you're going to pitch to me. I'm not going anywhere. Because
tonight's Buick GMC big matchup. Logan Morrison, 3 career home runs against Zimmerman. And for that one, we'll go back to Detroit on the 22nd of May. When he hit a 2-run shot with Steven Souza Jr. aboard. 8 home runs on the year for Morrison. Pitch is in, off the plate, 1-0.
We're having trouble right now trying to find that strike zone. Working to the edges, working to the extremes, understanding he's going to have to make a perfect pitch, and he'd love a ground ball in this situation.
Ground ball foul outside of first. Zimmerman in the outing in Detroit did get a ground ball, double play ball out of Brad Miller early in that outing. A little above average in his ground ball rate. Longoria back in at first. So an opportunity for the Rays, first and third, with 1 away. Too tight to Morrison. Game winner last year over in the National League with Washington. He made 33 starts, and that's something that he does year in and year out. One of the reasons the Tigers wanted him, he's made at least 32 starts in the last 4 years, and now he's behind Morrison 3-1, missing here a lot more than he usually does.
Well, and that's why, you know, people close to the Tigers, and they talk about Jordan Zimmerman, and they talk about that game against the Rays. You know, at that point, he was 6-2. He got that win in that ball game, so 7-2 after that, with a 2.5 ERA. And since coming back, the ERA's ballooned a little bit. Just has not been the same pitcher.
There goes Longoria. The pitch lifted into left center field. Upton's there to make the catch. The tag at third. Forsythe will score. The Rays break out in front, 1-0. Logan Morrison driving in the run with a sacrifice fly.
I think given the circumstances, Jordan Zimmerman doesn't mind that. You know, you walked Evan Longoria, you were behind a guy who's had great success off you in a 3-1 count. You almost take that fly ball, but nonetheless, the Rays strike early.
Here's Brandon Guyer. He struck early in yesterday's game. Coming back to face David Price, and he homered in the second pitch he saw. There's a strike. There's that breakout on Jordan Zimmerman, you were talking about, BA.
Well, this was actually, if you go back, you know, the first 9 included the Rays start, but this was more to the start of his season. How about that? 5-0 with a .55. He had given up just 2 earned runs in 33 innings to start the season. That's kind of ridiculous.
Well, last year the Tigers' rotation was a minus for them, and they hope to add a quality arm with quality innings in Zimmerman. 2 strikes now to Geyer on that foul ball. And they've had some issues again this year. Verlander's been up and down. Sanchez, he spent some time in the bullpen. Tigers overall 13th in the American League in team ERA. Geyer enough to keep the at bat going on a foul ball.
Well, you can feel the window starting to close for the Tigers. You know, you look at some of their, you know, the guy, you know, Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, who continues to hit, but you think about them on the base paths, the injuries, getting a little bit older. You know, and so you go out and get a guy like Jordan Zimmerman with the idea that you're going for it.
Well, they were very disappointed last year when they finished 74 and 87. They had a payroll of $164 million last year and won only 74 games. That after winning 93 and 13 and 90 games in 2014. Into the dirt. There goes Longoria. Boy, that's a nice job by Evan to move up. The pitch in the dirt, blocked by Saltalamacchia. Longoria got a good start.
Well, it was an easy read for him because this ball was thrown into the dirt rather quickly. And so Evan, you see him just come to a slight hesitation after his secondary. Reads that ball in the dirt and off he goes. And you're right, that gives the Rays another opportunity here with 2 outs.
So a wild pitch charged to Zimmerman. Longoria is on second. And it's a 1-2 count to Brandon Geyer. Ground ball right side. This is Kinsler. Second to first. Geyer's out of there. The Rays going to run and leave one at the end of 1-0. On Fox Sports Sun, brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. By LRE, specializing in concrete releveling, soil stabilization, and restoration services. By Furman, the Bay Area's first name in Chevrolet. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rizzi will face Victor Martinez leading off the second. Here's a guy who's been a big pain for the Rays through the years, and the pitch is too low. He's fifth in the league in hitting overall at 323, and he's had numerous injuries, a lot of lower body, leg, knee injuries, and it has not kept him from swinging a very good bat. Cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Chris Coors Light, and you can see how he loves to hit here at Tropicana Field. 370. Only Bernie Williams, now retired, has a higher average. Cliff Floyd swung the bat pretty well here as well.
You know, and that makes it all the more amazing, really, when you talk about the types of injuries that have plagued Victor Martinez, and then you think about, you know, hitting starts from the legs up. That's your base, and your base is injured, your base is banged up, you're constantly rehabbing your base, you still don't lose your swing. That's rare.
Well, 3-1. He's got 14 home runs right now, 42 runs batted in. You know, some guys are just born to hit. You talk about learning to be a good hitter, and there are good hitters who can learn to be better. But a guy like Victor Martinez, he's hit wherever he's been. And under whatever circumstances, there's a foul ball out of play, a full count.
Yeah, I mean, how about from both sides, too?
Yeah, and that's the other
you know,
amazing
I mean,
thing.
he's not even
You've got to
just,
keep track of,
Yeah.
it's like two separate personalities.
Yeah. Well, his hand-eye coordination is just elite level. And like I said, when you're able to do it left-handed and right-handed, that is so special.
We'll see another 3-2 pitch. You know what he hit his first year in organized baseball? The Indians signed him, went to the minor leagues. He hit 344.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, right into organized baseball. Played 53 games his first year, hit 344. He takes it upstairs, and that's ball 4. One of the things Jake Odorizzi wants to do is get outs quicker than he's been getting them.
Yes.
Because his pitch count tends to run higher than he or Jim Hickey would prefer.
You know, Dwayne, it was 2 years ago where he averaged 18 pitches an inning and wanted to obviously change that and so he could pitch deeper into games. He added some strength to his body, but he also became more efficient. His rate this year is higher than that.
Yep.
And so you know that's got to be gnawing at him.
Especially after last year.
Yeah.
When it went down to 16.3.
Yeah.
Now it's back up 18.3.
And when you're up in that range, I mean, think about it. You're up 18 and a half pitches an inning. By 5 innings, you're closing in on 100. That is going to limit how deep you can get into a game. There's no doubt about it.
Castellanos, 1 ball, 1 strike count. Well, he had an 8-pitch first, and that was encouraging. In fact, the first couple innings have been a challenge for him overall this year. ERA in the first inning over 5, and in the second it's over 6. After that, it's very good. Castellanos chases 1 and 2.
We see that an awful lot, you know, not only with Rays pitchers. We've talked about Chris Archer and his first inning woes, but around the league. And a lot of times it's guys just getting settled into the game. Once they do that, you know, then they can go out and throw up some zeros, get some consistency, but it's getting settled in. That seems to be the biggest problem. And a lot of that is command coming out of the bullpen.
Castellanos fouls it. You know, you talk about all the information. You think, well, maybe hitters have more information now than they did. Well, pitchers have more information. And at the end of the day, regardless of how much information you have, you'd better have command.
Yeah.
And it comes down to that.
Yeah.
You can have all the information you want, but if you can't execute with that information in mind, then it doesn't do you much good. 2-2 the count to Castellanos. And executing is not as easy as it seems from here. We've talked about how the game seems so much easier the farther away you get. But you get out there on the mound, and you've talked about that. Just one small, silly centimeter out there on the mound is magnified by the time it gets to the plate.
I mean, you're off by a degree or two in your release point, anything. Well, it's a degree or two out on the mound, and then all of a sudden 60 feet 6 inches later, and now it becomes inches, maybe 3-4 inches off target. Now instead of being to the corner, it's towards the middle of the plate.
Your catcher sets up on the corner, and here it comes right down the middle.
And when you see catchers reaching back for pitches, they typically never find that glove. Somebody's chasing it down into the outfield.
2-2 the count on Castellanos with Victor Martinez, the runner at first, nobody out. And now another full count. Well, a quick first inning, but this one here in the second starting to lengthen a bit. "14 pitches into this inning, and nobody out." The shot into left. Dickerson's going to be there and makes the catch. Well, he came 3-2 fastball, and Dickerson makes the grab and left.
With Castellanos, who's having a nice season for the Tigers, he's got some juice. He hit that ball hard, but Corey Dickerson well positioned, and that was a nice way to close that at bat out. That's a big pitch there after the walk to Martinez, and then you almost lose Nick Castellanos. Now one more good pitch, get another ground ball double play, something that Jake got in the first inning and has been a lot better at getting that for a guy who's not a real ground ball pitcher.
Well, here's Upton, Justin Upton. Pitch is down. "28-year-old outfielder. Spent last year in San Diego after a couple seasons in Atlanta and a run with Arizona before that. A 2-0 count.
I think he was another guy that the Tigers were expecting a lot more from, coming into the season. Just a .227 average with 8 home runs.
Yeah, he was a 100 RBI guy 2 years ago for Atlanta. Did 29 home runs that year, 26 last year for the Padres. 2 balls and a strike. Chops it foul. Takes the count to 2-2. Six-year-old right-hander Jake Odorizzi. Strike 3 called. He got him looking at the fastball. 2 gone, second strikeout of the game.
Yeah, and that was telling. Fox Tracks, everything away. Obviously the game plan here early on Justin Upton, and that is absolute paint right there. Jake Odorizzi finding that outside edge, picking up that strikeout.
Here's Stephen Moya, who had trouble running down the ball hit by Forsythe in the top of the first, or bottom of the first, and gave him an extra base, a double and an error. Boy, a big cut and a miss. Strike one. Two. Rizzi quickly getting the jump. Trying to pitch around the leadoff walk. Slipped it out of play. A foul ball. Still 2 strikes. Moya out of Puerto Rico. He was the Tigers minor league player of the year last year. Split the season between Lakeland and Toledo. 2 years ago, an outstanding year in the minors. He's hit 35 home runs and driven in over 100 runs in a single minor league season.
Which is a month shorter. You know, they're only playing 5 months. But he's be able to create so much leverage with that 6'6" frame. You get those arms extended, and with any kind of bat speed with his size, you know, it's like Richie Sexton. You don't have to be a big muscle-bound guy to hit a ball a mile. Create leverage, good bat speed, solid contact, it will fly.
2-2. Fouled again. See another one from Jake. So this has turned out to be an extended inning for Jake. So far giving up just the 1 base runner. And again a foul ball.
We see this a lot. And you know, when Dwayne, we talk about his pitches per inning, that average, a lot of it is caused by at-bats like this, where guys just continually are able to foul pitches off and stay alive, and it affects that count, of course.
And now full count. So he's faced 4 hitters. 3 of them have gone 3-2.
And you're right up to, at minimum, an average of 18.5 per if he gets them out on this pitch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's at 36 pitches now after an 8-pitch first. Runner goes, and a swing and a miss. He strikes him out on the change. A man left. Bottom of the second coming. 1-0 Rays.
The Rays lead 1-0 in the second inning. He is the only active major leaguer on the active roster right now who attended Coastal Carolina University. And today, Coastal Carolina was playing Arizona for the championship in the College World Series. It was the final game of the best of three, and there is the final out, and here is Taylor Motter's reaction. Congratulations to the Chanticleers. Taylor Motter takes off the Rays jersey, and he's got the Coastal Carolina shirt underneath. He was fired up after that College World Series championship. So guys, they faced 6 different games where they were eliminated if they lost. Today was game number 6. It's hard to imagine the national champions, Coastal Carolina. Congratulations to the team out of Conway, South Carolina, just outside of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, Taylor Motter played 3 seasons for them, and elated. What a great story that was, and it went right down to the wire as they beat Arizona.
Yeah, and the thing that's great, I mean, that was a 3-game series. They lost game 1, came back, forced a game 3, got rained out last night, had to play an afternoon game today, and got it done. Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, I think that's just great.
And by the way, the other day talking about the Chanticleers and wondering what their logo.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
It's a mean bird.
Yeah, that rooster you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, no. He's going to go to town on you.
Yeah. He gets up, not in a good mood, you leave him alone. Create space there. 2 strikes to count to Corey Dickerson. Chops it foul. Dickerson, Jennings, and then Arcia. Dickerson starts the night hitting .209 with 13 home runs. And that kind of tells you all you need to know about his approach at the plate so far. And he is out on strikes. He's up there looking to swing almost all the time.
I haven't seen, Dwayne, I really have not seen recently a hitter that gets fed more first pitch curveballs than Corey Dickerson. That being said, I've not seen a hitter swing at more first pitch curveballs than Corey Dickerson. I mean, he wants to get all 3 of those swings in.
You know, a couple homestands ago, there was a night when he actually appeared to change his approach a little bit. He was a little more compact for a couple of at-bats, and you thought, wow, this is kind of interesting. And then that didn't last, and we're right back to let's hit the ball a country mile.
Well, that's where that's when there was talk about maybe putting him into the concussion protocol. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. what are we doing here going the other way? You're supposed to be launching.
1 ball, 2 strikes here on Desmond Jennings. Rays facing Jordan Zimmerman. Zimmerman made 25 pitches in the first. He's a guy who likes to get things done in a hurry. Odorizzi went from 8 pitches in the first to 29 pitches in the second inning. Jennings did not offer, and now a full count to Desmond. There's a shot toward left center field. It's going to roll to the warning track and hit the wall. Jennings turns second, thought about third, and hangs on at second. It's his 6th double, a 1-out 2-base hit.
Well, he laid off the sliders down and away and forced Zimmerman back out over the plate. He'll take a couple of tough, close pitches and get a heater middle. And Jennings, you see him starting to roll into second base before he picked it up. I wonder if he's all right.
Well, let's hope so. The Rays have had enough on the injury front. We'll take a look and see what we can pick up.
Well, let's take a look. He comes running around first, digging for second. Yeah, you see that left hand and that little wince. That's when things start to slow down. He did pick it up closer to second base, and he's still out there, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Well, the Rays just got one of their outfielders back, Brandon Guyer. Steven Souza Jr. was taking batting practice again today. Hit a couple out. Now here's Oswaldo Arcia. It takes a breaking ball too low, a ball and no strikes. Arcia 7 of 16 in a Rays uniform, including a home run and 2 doubles. Another breaking pitch, curveball for a strike. Run in the first, another opportunity in the second inning. Swinging over that one. A little more bite on that pitch. Slider.
Well, you present that as a fastball in, and any fastball in, a hitter's got to get it started right now. And so a tight spin on that slider, you start your swing, and then it's like, oh no. I mean, the ball just disappears behind you.
There's a little chop left side. Jennings will advance. Throw to first, not in time. Arcia beats it out. First and third for the Rays. Ball not hit overly hard, and Arcia has himself an infield hit.
Yeah, just a chopper, and Castellanos, he's got to let Desmond Jennings go by and stay back on that ball instead of, chasing it all the way through. And right here, Arcia gets a good burst out of the box, hustling all the way, and is able to beat it out. But Castellanos getting shielded off from that ball by Jennings and not being able to attack it like he would have liked to. That wait back for a split second cost him.
So first and third with one out. Presents Hank Conger with an opportunity to add to the Rays' lead. Close. Didn't miss by much. 1-0. Boy, that was a pitch Zimmerman would have loved to have had called a strike.
There have been a couple pitches at the bottom of the zone that Saltalamacchia has helped take out of the zone and not presented very well, that probably were strikes and could have been called strikes. In fact, those 2 sliders to Jennings that he took, kind of pushed the ball out of the zone,
and then he got the last call.
Did a better job of keeping that glove in the zone.
You see where that was, that second pitch.
Yep.
Foul ball, 1-2.
Such a big hustle play there by Arcia. You think, Zimmerman, runner on third, 2 outs. Big difference than this right here. You got that runner on third now with less than 2. Try to stay out of that double play, get something elevated.
There's a ground ball to the right side. Out at second and back at first. Conger just couldn't beat that play, although the ball not hit that hard. 4-6-3 on the double play. And the Rays miss an opportunity to add to their lead.
Jose Iglesias so quick with his transfer.
Brad Ausmus, the manager of the Tigers. Just to his left, our right, Gene Lamont, who's his bench coach. Gene, the former manager of the White Sox and the Pirates. He's a Floridian, and he has a niece, Rachel Lamont, who lives in the area. And it's her birthday, and he wanted to make sure that we passed along the very best to her. So happy birthday, Rachel. First pitch here in the third to Jared Saltalamacchia is a ball. 1 ball and no strikes, the count. Saltalamacchia, Iglesias, and then Kinsler. Last 2 in the order, and back around to the top. Saltalamacchia with 8 home runs, hitting .206. The other way, Dickerson right there lines up and makes the catch. So 1 out. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and even more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Just visit MLB.TV for details. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop, and he is a good one. There's a strike, as we saw on that double play ball off the bat of Hank Conger.
You know, I actually thought that Hank Conger was going to have a chance of beating that out. But Ian Kinsler to Jose Iglesias and the transfer and how quickly he got rid of that ball, you're like, now who is, oh, that's right. Iglesias is back in the lineup. He is lightning quick. His hands out there in the middle as a middle infielder, outstanding.
Yeah, he's hitting .252 right now, and if he hits that and plays shortstop the way he can, they'll take that all season long. Down to Longoria, and having a nice play right there to take care of that ground ball.
Yeah, you know, he's playing even with the bag in case Jose Iglesias decides to bunt. So you turn on and hit a ground ball hard. You go from very little time to react to obviously less than that, but you tested the wrong guy in Evan Longoria. We should get this from another couple angles too, because that's a highlight. Look at the ass. See, I mean, how smooth.
How powerful do you feel right now?
You know, they're doing that so that tomorrow when we have our production meeting, I can get yelled at for this, for breaking down ground balls.
Hey, you've got a Gold Glove third baseman down there, right?
I'm trying to sell it.
Should be on the All-Star team.
That's
this
right.
year.
That's right.
There you go. Wants to be on the All-Star team. He could go home, see his folks.
That's right.
You know, they could play out there in Southern California and San Diego. It'd be great for him.
He's making a push. And packages of that ground ball right there are only going to help.
That's right. See, you know what you're doing.
Campaign manager.
It's that season. 2-1. There's a strike. 2-2. Kinsler struck out his first time. Leadoff. He's been a great leadoff man. He's got great power. Been a big plus for this Tiger Ball club. He was tough over in Texas at the top of their order.
Yeah, he does not get cheated. You know, he's one of those guys. He hits off his back foot, and he's got a real uppercut swing. You know, Jake was able to get a fastball over that swing in that first at bat, but you're right, for a leadoff hitter with that kind of power, plays second base very well.
Well, full count. Fastball up and away. Jake right now it's 50 pitches on the night. It's foul back a third. You know, you think of guys in the middle of the order being strong hands, strong wrists, strong forearms. This guy, the leadoff guy, is like that.
Yeah.
He's very strong in those areas.
Yeah. I mean, he gets that bat through the zone with a full head of steam. You just think about the amount of batting practice these guys take, hitting off tees. You know what I mean? Swinging that bat, and just how strong those wrists and forearms get by doing that. The repetitions alone.
Fouls it again. Bases are empty with 2 gone. And again, another foul. Here's another one of those at bats.
Yeah. Yep, and here you are up in the mid-50s in pitch count once again. Try to have a quick, efficient inning, and you've got another extended at bat with a lot of foul balls by Kinsler.
Moya extended it. We're up to 10 right now with the Kinsler. And he got it. He struck him out. Took him a while, but finished him with the fastball as he did in the first inning. 1-0 Rays. Coming in to hit in the bottom of the third, opening this series with the Tigers. Greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Well, in Houston, Jose Altuve, what a month of June. He's hit .420, driving in a run every other day in June. And the Cleveland Indians with a 12-game winning streak, averaging over 6 runs a game. And these two teams here know all about that. Rays ran into the buzzsaw up there, the Cleveland Ball Club, and so did the Tigers at home in Detroit. The Indians swept the Tigers there, and the Tigers are 0-9 against the Indians in the Central Division.
You know, and a few years ago when the Tigers were on their run in that division, leading the way, leading the charge for the Central, the Indians couldn't figure them out to save their lives. I mean, Detroit owned the Indians. In fact, the Indians would make a little run. They'd get to within a game or two of first place. Inevitably, Detroit would show up on the schedule, and they'd be 5 games back when that series was over. But you're right. Cleveland all of a sudden thinks that city can win now. A basketball team win a championship, and the baseball team hasn't lost since.
Indians seem to be doing just fine, and 9-0 against the Tigers. Forsythe out on the second pitch of the inning on the ground ball to short. Brad Miller takes a fastball a little bit outside, 1-0.
Yeah, I saw an interesting stat today. You know, we talk about their starting rotation an awful lot with, you know, Carrasco and Salazar and Kluber and Bauer and Tomlin. And as a collective unit, they're making $13.5 million. Though that five-some. That's
Wow.
You talk about a bargain?
Yes.
Come on. You got start. We saw a
Absolutely.
starting pitcher yesterday that was making 2.5 times that by himself.
Yes.
In David Price.
It's pretty incredible. And that's a great rotation the Indians have. And the Rays ran right into that. And interesting varying looks from them as well. Some very good, strong arms. And then you get Tomlin in the middle of that.
Yeah, right?
He's throwing 86, 87, maybe 88. Yep. That pitch biting down and in. Miller out on strikes.
Nasty slider. And look at that pitch. Got to make a quick decision, and then it's just not there. He's thrown a couple of those really good sliders down into the lefties.
Yeah, you get behind a guy who can throw a slider like that, good luck. Here's Evan Longoria. He shoots it right into left center field. First pitch fastball to the wall, picked up by Maben. Evans in with a double. That's his 22nd double of the year. He's in the top 10 in doubles as well.
You know, right now, Evan Longoria, everything seems to be in slow motion. You know, mistake, okay, I'll just take a nice smooth swing and smoke it. Just not missing those pitches.
You know, that's what we were talking about earlier, how difficult it is to pitch. He makes the perfect pitch on the slider to Miller. Absolutely perfect to strike him out. Next pitch, too much of the plate on a fastball to Longoria. There's a double up the gap.
Yeah, you're right back out of the stretch. The opposition has another scoring opportunity. Fine line.
Here's Logan Morrison. Pops it up, foul. It's headed for the seats. Strike one. Well, the Rays now have had opportunities in each of the first 3 innings. They got a run in the first. Left a man in scoring position. Left men at first and third. Well, had men at first and third, and then grounded into the double play. So technically leaving a man at third in that inning. And now with 2 outs, Longoria's in scoring position at second. Morrison trying to pick him up. 2. Breaking ball. Zimmerman has been tougher on left-handed hitters than right-handed hitters this year, and that's not unusual for him. 1 and 2, and that slider we saw to Miller might have something to do with that, because that's a good one. One and 2 to Morrison. Popped up. Foul ball. Saltalamacchia looking for it. And it's going to drop. They had Cabrera coming in as well, and it hit something up there.
No, it didn't.
Or not.
It went
not?
up and over the B ring. That's
wow,
why he lost
there
sight of
you
it.
go.
You can follow that thing all the way up there, and you're waiting to see, and it just went right over the ring on its way back down, and no one found it.
So it's a no play. Didn't touch anything.
No.
There they are. Look at that. Even the first base umpire, Scott Berry, trying to track it.
Well, you're looking up into the bank of lights, and the ball is going over the.
Yeah. So you're blinded looking into the lights, and then if it comes out, you're looking at it with the backdrop of the inside of the roof, the ceiling.
Right.
So find it again. Nope, not a good chance.
I mean, we're hitting balls up in the air over rings. over rings, and I mean, it's like the Rock and Jock softball game.
Yeah, well, hey, every park has its idiosyncratic features.
Yes.
And this is
And
a significant one.
That's right.
Now the count's full to Logan Morrison, 3-2. Well, let's see if Logan can take advantage. I'm seeing a couple more pitches here from Zimmerman. Santalamacchia and Zimmerman chatting briefly in front of the mound. Down around his feet, and that's ball 4. And that slider almost bit his foot. So a walk. Morrison heads to first. Brandon Guyer will be on his way to the plate. Guyer with 7 home runs. Number 7 came on the second pitch of his first at bat against David Price yesterday. And that got the Rays out in front 1-0, and they went on to win that game 4-0. All 4 of the runs off Price in 6 1/3. Zimmerman starts this, and a base hit off the bat of Guyer right back into center. Longoria scores, and the Rays pick up that run. It's 2-0. Brandon Guyer back active, and boy, are the Rays happy about that. Jumped on the first pitch to drive in Longoria.
Well, how about the Rays? It looked like it was going to be a quick inning for Jordan Zimmerman. And Evan Longoria with a double, a nice long at bat by Logan Morrison leads to a walk, and then plate coverage by Brandon Guyer. That was not a bad pitch, but Brandon Guyer was able to go out and get to it, take it right back up the middle. That's a big run right there.
Well, this began on the 2-out double by Longoria. Then Morrison's walk, and on the first pitch, it was Guyer to drive in the run, and here's Corey Dickerson. Two runs, 5 hits for the Rays. Dickerson foul outside of first. Cabrera playing close to the line, and the ball foul. Zimmerman coming off a 3 2/3 outing against Cleveland. His last time out, when he gave up 7 runs on 9 hits, lost 7-5. Zimmerman in his last 4 outings has gone 1-2 with a no decision. And in the win, he gave up 6 runs, 4 earned in 7 innings. Well, here's a look at Nick Franklin on deck. Desmond Jennings due up, and we saw him favor that left hamstring running the bases. There's a foul ball back. 0-2 on Dickerson. So it would appear that Jennings will leave this game. Ground ball headed to short. Iglesias will go to first. Safe there. Iglesias found himself deep at short, needing to make a hurried throw. And the Rays beat the play at first. Dickerson safe there.
You know, if Iglesias gets rid of it right now to first base, he would get Dickerson. But watch him hesitate looking for Kinsler. Right there, Kinsler was not going to be able to get there in time. See that right there? That hesitation cost him. Realizing not going to be a play at second, and then not a play at first either. How about that?
So Jennings will be lifted. It's our pinch-a-penny pinch hitter. Take a look at Desmond on the double in the second inning.
Well, right there, the wins tells all, and he did pick it back up, like maybe a thought to go to third. A little bit of a limp right there going back into the base, and then trying to stretch it out right there. And you just hope this isn't something that's going to linger and something that's going to become an issue. I mean, the Rays outfield so banged up. You get Geyer back, and you don't want to lose another one. Hopefully just a little precautionary and day-to-day type thing.
Yeah, Souza Jr. is going to start his rehab down at Charlotte, and they're hoping that it's going to be a short one and he'll be active soon. So we'll wait and see. It seems to be a matter of days. We'll just see how long that takes. So here's Nick Franklin to pinch hit. Bases loaded on what turned out to be an infield hit for Dickerson. A strike the count here on Franklin. Franklin down 0-2. Franklin had a hit yesterday in the Boston series. A bases loaded walk Tuesday against Boston, and a big night Monday with 5 runs batted in, a double, single, and a home run. A little popper into shallow left. That's got a chance to fall. Base hit. Bounds away from Upton. Here comes another man trying to score. He is safe. That clears the bases. Morrison, Geyer, and Dickerson all score. Franklin winds up at second. How about that ball falling out of the reach of Iglesias in front of Upton and then taking a bounce away from both of them?
Yeah, I had some action on it for sure. Just lifted this ball into shallow left field. Watch this. Boom. Away from Upton. Iglesias runs it down, and Corey Dickerson ran through a stop sign. Still safe, though, so all is forgiven.
And it's 5-0 Tampa Bay. The Rays have scored 4 with 2 outs. What a week for Nick Franklin. 9 runs batted in. Arcia fouls it back. Arcia, the 8th man to come to the plate. The first 2 were retired. Longoria started this with a double. Arcia swinging over that pitch. 0-2.
A way to keep the pressure on by the Rays offense. Jordan Zimmermann goes from looking like he's going to have an easy 1-2-3 inning down by a run, and really, as a pitcher out there right now, you're thinking that this just blew this game open for them. You're that close, make one mistake to Longoria, and look, 5-run deficit early.
And then Morrison, who hit that pop-up that went over the ring, and neither Saltalamacchia nor Cabrera could find it. That fell as a no play, and then he wound up walking him. Geyer wasted a little time, singled in a run on the first pitch. Dickerson on the infield hit, then the double by Franklin. And now Arcia misses the curveball. He's out on strikes. But the Rays send 8 men to the plate, score 4 and lead 5-0. Enjoy a 5-0 lead moving into the 4th inning, and Nick Franklin, who pinch hit, drove in 3 runs, will play right field, and Brandon Guyer moves over to play center field. The Rays will have Dickerson, then Dickerson in left, Guyer in center field, and Franklin in right. First pitch to Cameron Maben is a strike call. Well, we saw Franklin in left field in the game last night. This one is high, 1-1. Actually, that was a day game, so he was in left against the Red Sox yesterday. In right field here tonight. And if you look at his major league time, he's played all over the infield and has played a little bit in right field. He played 2 games in right field in 2014.
Well, you know what? Kevin Cash put it best. He said he caught the ball.
And that's good enough.
That's right.
Catch the ball.
That is the job description. Catch the ball.
Maben out on strikes. Our Toyota inside look on Miguel Cabrera. Well, what a career he has had since he broke in with the team in South Florida. Hit a game-winning home run against the Rays.
Just so strong, such an accomplished hitter. You know, pitch recognition skills outstanding. The ability to make adjustments, not only game to game, but in-game adjustments, at bat to at bat. Phenomenal. And he's just fundamentally sound. I mean, he's one of the best you're going to find.
Well, we're talking about before the game how strong he is, and that home run he hit off Matt Andriese in Detroit. Hit it the opposite field and seemed effortless.
I mean, the swing, it seemed slow. I mean, of course it wasn't, but it was just so smooth that it had the appearance of just being a slow swing, and he just kind of swatted and flipped the ball to right field, home run in Detroit. Not an easy task.
Upstairs, 2-2. And look at this. Here's a power hitter. And look at his hits by direction. More hits to right than left and more to center than anywhere. And he rips this one foul down the left field side.
And that's how you hit for that average that he's running out there.
Yeah, that tells you Cabrera is just a good hitter, period, with power.
And so much of it that he can have that up the middle approach and take balls out. Well, we talk about the one to right. How about the 2 bombs he hit to center in that series? He had 3 home runs in that series. So he's got power everywhere, and he knows that he can let a ball travel into the zone. He's still strong enough to get it out.
Grounded into a double play his first time. 2-2 the count here in the 4th inning. 1 out, base is empty. And the count's going to go full. This is the 5th full count Odorizzi's had tonight. And he strikes him out. Fastball. Strikeout number 6. So 3 strikeouts in a row. He got Kinsler to end the 3rd. Maben and Cabrera to open the 4th.
Able to get that up above the swing. Very similar to the strikeouts of Ian Kinsler. It's the spin rate, Dwayne. The ball just doesn't come down.
Yep.
In fact, I say it rises. That's what you would call. That's what hitters would refer to as a rising fastball. And that's
scientifically impossible, they tell us.
But that's it just doesn't come down.
Yeah.
You wait for it to come down. Victor Martinez thought that ball was coming down.
And scientists will tell us that it doesn't really rise, and it descends slower than one would anticipate, therefore fooling the mind and the eyes into thinking, and the ball appears that it rises, but it in reality does not.
And it's all attributed to the spin rate.
That's exactly right.
Just spin it, baby.
1-2 the count. Two outs, a 1-2 count. Pitch is up, 2-2. Another foul ball by Victor Martinez, and here's a guy we talk about running up a pitch count. He can do it. Odorizzi at the moment at 73. We'd like to get Martinez and then maybe have a quick 5th.
That's what's amazing. Jake hasn't even been in trouble.
Yeah.
And that pitch count is still, bordering on excessive.
Yeah. Tigers have not had a man in scoring position. Maben singled in the 1st. He raced on the very next pitch on a double play. Leadoff walk to Martinez in the 2nd. He had his usual full count. Two and two the count right here. And he got him. Struck him out. He strikes out the side. 7 strikeouts on the night for Jake. 1, 2, 3. go the Detroit Tigers. On to the home half of the fourth, 5-0 Rays. Get a hit in the bottom of the fourth inning. Stay cool this summer with a Rays floppy hat presented by the Florida Department of Transportation. Get yours when the Rays take on the Tigers. That'll be Saturday while supplies last. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com for more information. It's a good look. Todd looked very good in that.
He did.
So did
He
Orestes.
did. Yep.
And here they are, versatile this way, that way, this way, anyway. There you go.
There was no way that you and I putting those on that we were going to do any better than those two.
No.
You just know your role, stay in your lane.
That's right.
You know.
You don't mess with perfection. Conger fouls it, and the count is 1-1. I think no one could have done a better job of selling the floppy hats than Todd and Orestes. They did it well, and they'll be fun. They'll be a big item here Saturday.
We can speak to the quality of the hat, and the quality of the hat is good. It's very good.
Yeah, Rays continue to have among the premium items, I think, the best in the game.
Yeah,
they're always rated at the top or very near the top, and those floppy hats will help secure that position again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going down there and seeing Todd yesterday, the only thing that was really out of bounds about that whole, you know, promo was the camera angle, and the fact that, you know, that you know, I could go to bed last night knowing that in Todd's right nostril there are 16 nose hairs. That nobody needed to get that close to be able to count them, and yet that's where we were.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's the pursuit of perfection. You know, that's the challenge. Makes it interesting.
Yeah. Yes, the unicorn.
It does.
If you will.
And I will. So Conger's out on a ground ball to first. Logan Morrison, the top of the order. Forsythe had a double in the first inning, scored a run. 1 out of 2, and he takes the pitch for a strike. Another base hit for Forsythe, driving it through the hole on the left side. He's 2 for 3, and the Rays have another base runner. They've had runners in every inning.
Yeah, they have forced Jordan Zimmermann into the stretch a lot of times early in innings too, or at least in the case of, you know, the big third inning with 2 outs. Once they got him into the stretch, they kept him there for a while, scoring all those runs. But boy, you better stay out over, or force yourself to not be out over the plate against Forsyth and Longoria right now, because one leaks back middle, they're getting pounded.
Brad Miller takes a strike. Brad trying to break through against Jordan Zimmerman tonight. He's 0 for 2. He's lined to first and struck out on an excellent pitch. A great slider in the third. There's a move to first on Forsyth, who's back in. It's 1-1. Zimmerman in his career, most of it with Washington, is twice named to the National League All-Star team. Of course, through that no-hitter in September of 2014 that Steven Souza Jr. saved. Another move to first. Forsyth back. There goes the runner. Pitch chopped down to right side off the mitt of Cabrera. Picked up by Kinsler, and the throw back to Cabrera is in time. Rays get Forsyth to second, and Miller's out 3-4-3.
Well, Jordan Zimmerman and the Tigers, they were concerned with Forsyth and the thought that he may go. Many times they throw over, but that ball off the glove, and look at Ian Kinsler back in that play up, got rid of that ball quickly once it got into his glove. And they were able to get that out at first base, probably all they were going to get anyway. I guess we would have seen how aggressive Miguel Cabrera would have been, maybe trying to cut Forsyth down at second, even though he was going. But another chance for the Rays.
And Evan Longoria up here, trying to convert this into another run. Evan has walked and doubled. Hit a first pitch fastball up the alley in the third. And he looks at a breaking pitch here, curveball. It's down and away, out of the zone, 1-0. That's a strike. Zimmerman finds the zone with another breaking pitch. This is the fourth time the Rays have seen Zimmerman in this starting role. 2 balls and a strike. He just missed on that one. That was pretty close. And that's that that area down around the knees where it's kind of 50-50 as to whether you're going to get that called a strike or not. Low, did he go? Yes, he did. He tried to check. And on the appeal down to Scott Berry, that's a strike.
Well, there was a lot of movement there by Evan Longoria. You see him going down for that pitch right at the borderline. That call goes against him.
A 2-2 count. And now we go to 3-2. He did hold up on that one. Rays 4 out of 8 with men in scoring position tonight. And now a full count to Evan with 2 outs and Forsyth in scoring position. Evan lifts a popper short left. Upton coming in is there and makes the catch. The Rays leave a man. We're through 4, headed into the 5th. 5-0 Tampa Bay. Tonight's Geico great moment. Kevin Kiermaier joined Jorge Cantu as the only Rays player with a home run in his first plate appearance at Yankee Stadium. Kiermaier matching Cantu's feat. That was in September of 2004. Kevin Kiermaier and Cantu, the only two to do that in Rays history. 1-0 the count. Nick Castellanos here leading it off. He hit a fly ball to left his first time. Big cut by Castellanos right there, and a foul ball back. 7 strikeouts for Jake Odorizzi. He has 4 in a row. You got Kinsler to end the third, and then Maben, Cabrera, and Victor Martinez were strikeout victims in the fourth. All 4 of those swinging strikes. Now 2-1. So 7 strikeouts, only 1 caught looking. Three and 1. And a cut and a miss there. Big swing on the fastball.
Yeah, that's a 3-1 fastball that was out of the zone, and Castellanos just could not help himself. And if I'm Jake Odorizzi, why wouldn't you do it again?
And it's another full count. And he lost him. Down, he missed low. Leadoff walk in the 5th, second walk issued by Odorizzi. He's had 11 two-strike counts. And here's Upton. Seven full counts. Upton fouls it, got a little piece of it. Strike 1. So Odorizzi has given up 2 walks and 1 hit. Maben had a single in the first. Martinez walked in the second. Castellanos has walked here in the 5th. That's on the corner. The count is 0-2. Fly ball up the right side. That's going to be out of play. Holding the count at 2 strikes. Over to first, back in Castellanos. Fly ball back into center. High, not overly deep, and Geyer is waiting. That'll be the first out. 1 on with 1 out in the 5th inning. Time to check in with Todd again. Todd?
All right, Dwayne, the reason Brandon Geyer is in center field right now for the Rays is he took the place of Desmond Jennings. We just got word from the Rays clubhouse. He left the game with a tight left hamstring. You can see him here rounding the bag on his double to left center field. Just didn't look right. And Desmond would not hit again in this game. Tried to stay in there, but he is out with a tight left hamstring, guys.
All right, thanks for the update. Let's see him almost grab it as he round first, and then stayed on, but left eventually. Stephen Moya, the pitch is a ball to him, 1-0. One on the foul ball. Seven strikeouts for Jake tonight. He's had some relatively high strikeout performances. He had 10 in his first outing of the year. 2-1. Had 9 strikeouts 3 starts ago against Seattle, a couple of 8s. Bracketing that, 1 against Arizona and 1 against San Francisco. And that's strike 2 on Moya.
He continues to be able to work that fastball up at the top of the strike zone. And there's just not much that these Tiger hitters have been able to do about it. Just 1 hit on the night so far. And really, that's been the main pitch for Jake. You know, haven't seen too many changeups. Seen a couple of sliders. The curveball, very rare. But that heater.
You're right. He had that extended at bat against Moya in the second and finally got him on a change. And worked him with a lot of hard stuff. And there's a line drive to second. And they get the double play. Forsythe to Morrison to double up Castellanos. And the top half of the 5th inning goes into the books. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. Middle of the 5th, it's 5-0 Tampa Bay. All night in America returns with a rematch of last year's NLCS between the Cubs and the Mets at 7 p.m. Eastern on your local Fox station. Then the Yankees battle the Padres at 9:30 Eastern in a game you can only see on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Logan Morrison leading off the bottom of the 5th for the Rays. Swings and lofts a high fly ball. Short right. Kinsler's out. Here comes the right fielder Moya, and he makes the catch. Well, Kinsler. Oh, that was Castellanos out there on the shift. He had moved over from 3rd, and boy, he covered a lot of ground, even though he was playing short right field to begin with. Castellanos out there, and Moya makes the grab.
Dwayne, you're not kidding. I mean, not very often you're going to ever see a third baseman be able to go from third to, almost just medium deep right field to guide Stephen Moya in to make that catch. that is some kind of foot speed right there.
Well, here's Geyer. Brandon Geyer takes the pitch for a ball.
I mean, that's Kelly Leak-ish.
We didn't even know he was on the infield, Kelly Leak.
Kelly Leak got to every ball that he could, but he was instructed to do so. He was the one.
Coach's
guy.
orders.
Yeah, you didn't want to risk Ahmed trying to make a play. A lot of errors. So, hey, he got him to the championship game, and what can you say about Kelly Leak?
Great range.
Pretty good ball player.
1-2 the count on Brandon Geyer. Two and two. Corey Dickerson on deck. Down to third. Castellanos makes this play. Well, he gets to make a play. Got an assist on that one. Two gone. Two up, two down. Last time that occurred, the Rays rallied for 4 runs when the first 2 men were retired in the third. First 2 men out here in the 5th inning, and here's Corey Dickerson. Dickerson was part of that with an infield hit. He is 1 for 2 tonight. The fastball up, and he swings through it, under it. 1 strike to count. Into left. Upton coming in a hurry, can't get there. And there's a base hit. So a 2-out single will get Nick Franklin to the plate. Franklin doubled in 3 runs in the third. Our Lowe's home field advantage taking a look at the homestand for Nick Franklin. How about this?
Well, this is what jumps out, Dwayne. How about that? 9 runs driven in on 5 hits. You talk about making the most of your hits, bang for the buck.
Here he is again, fouling it back. Left side, out of play for a strike.
Now, this is one of those, situations where guys down, the disable is filled up and other guys have to step up. They're going to get opportunities. Who's going to step up?
Well, he has in a big way. This one popping away from Saltalamacchia. Down to second base goes Dickerson. And so the Rays now have another man in scoring position. A wild pitch, the second of the night, charged to Zimmerman.
The breaking ball right here. Saltalamacchia is going to try to backhand scoop. You'd like to see him anticipate that ball in the dirt, see that it's going to be that, and then try to block that pitch, a traditional block. Instead, he tried to just pick it.
Two and one. So it's now 3-1. 3-1, lifted into center field. Maben keeping an eye on that one, makes the catch. No runs, a hit, and the man left. We're through 5. It's 5-0 Rays. Rays have built a 5-0 lead. Jake Odorizzi, 90 pitches through 5 innings. And he's chalked up 7 strikeouts, allowing just 1 hit and a couple of bases on balls. Meanwhile, his teammates giving him 5 runs in support. Brandon Gyers singled home a run to start a 4-run third. Before it was over, Nick Franklin dropped that 2-base hit in, clearing the bases. Rays had scored an unearned run in the first, and they lead 5-0. As Odorizzi goes to the mound to begin the 6th. He faces Jared Saltalamacchia, and the pitch is outside 1-0. 1-1. Saltalamacchia line to left his first time. And 2 balls and a strike. Saltalamacchia had a quick start in the power department this year. He had 5 home runs. There's a strike, and it's 2-2. 5 home runs almost by the middle of April. I think it was the 19th of April. He had 5 home runs. 8 on the year right now. And Jake goes to 3-2.
Left-handed hitter likes the ball down and out over the plate. You see when Foxtrot pops up where Jake Odorizzi's working him, staying up in the zone.
And he walks him. Well, second time he's gone 3-2 to the leadoff hitter in the last 2 innings and has walked them each time.
Well, here we are. 5 innings completed. 1 hitter into the 6th. 96 pitches. Still a challenge to try to get the pitch count under control. The effectiveness of what Jake Odorizzi has done, no question about it. I mean, he's given up just the 1 hit. Got a few walks mixed in there. 1 hit, no runs. That's the most important number, but I'd like to see that 96 a little further south.
There's a strike on the outside edge to Jose Iglesias, the shortstop.
You know, every time that he's gotten a guy at first early in an inning, he's gone to the first pitch slider. He did it to Miguel Cabrera, got the ground ball double play. He did it. Let's see, who was that against? Well, whenever it was the last time he had a guy on first early. Threw a first pitch slider, looking for that reach swing and a ground ball. It and get the double play. That's something that he, for a fly ball, being a fly ball pitcher, he gets a lot of ground ball double plays.
This one off the end of the bat. Foul toward the on deck circle. It's 1-2. So Matt Andriese up in the bullpen for the Rays. A 5-run night for the Rays so far on 9 hits. And that one hits the bat. Check swing. The count is still 1-2. Pitch up and in. Just 1 hit, but the Tigers have had men on base in every inning except the 3rd. That's a foul ball, and the 4th. A little run there after he walked the leadoff man in the 2nd inning. He got the next 3 and then had a run of 9 in a row, retired. An interesting outing that way for Jake. And a foul ball again. So he's made 102 pitches now. 102. 19 of those have come on 2-strike foul balls.
That would be 83, huh?
So we've had some extended counts again. And that has what has run up his pitch count all year. Base hit the other way. Saltalamacchia stops at second. On an opposite field single, Iglesias aboard. You want to be careful with this lineup. The bottom 2 men, the 8 and 9 hitters, reaching to open the inning. And that sets it up for Ian Kinsler.
Yeah, and a nice job by Iglesias taking that ball that's away and shooting it the other way. Finds a hole over there. And you're right, Dwayne. 1st and 2nd now, and the danger of this lineup coming to the plate.
Ian Kinsler 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts, both on fastballs. Pitch in the dirt, bounding away, and the runners will move up. So the opening change in the dirt, and the wild pitch advances Saltalamacchia to 3rd and Iglesias to 2nd.
Yeah, Hank Conger rolls that glove over to block that pitch, and it hits right off the thumb of his catcher's mitt, and it bounds to the right. And now the Tigers, 2nd and 3rd, double play no longer in order.
So a major challenge now for Odorizzi and the Rays. It's inside 2-0. Jake at 105 pitches right now. It's foul down in front of Dave Clark, the 3rd base coach. Did not get the call, shooting for the corner, and now it's 3-1. Boy, he has worked that corner over on occasion and has gotten a call or 2 out there and really wanted that one, but not this time. 3-1 lined into center, a base hit. Geyer charges. 1 run will score. Men will be at 1st and 3rd. Saltalamacchia scores from 3rd. Iglesias stops at 3rd. It's 5-1.
Well, able to get on top of this fastball that was up in the zone. These Detroit hitters here are making the adjustment as this game is going on, and this may end the night for Jake Odorizzi.
Kevin Cash heads out to make the pitching change. 5 innings plus 3 hitters. Back in a moment. It's 5-1 contest now in the top of the 6th.
Well, for Jake Odorizzi, you know, he went out there, was effective early, getting that fastball up in the zone was a good pitch for him. That was the one strikeout he had looking. A good change up there to Moya, but most of the damage done with the 4-seamer, elevated. Continue to get this lineup to swing through that pitch. But as we saw, you know, in his last inning here in the top of the 6th, Detroit hitters making an adjustment. You know, a walk to Saltalamacchia, Iglesias in an extended at-bat, shoots one into right field for a base hit, and then finally someone's able to get to that fastball up in the zone, and that was Ian Kinsler into center field.
So 108 pitches for Jake Odorizzi, 5 innings plus. He leaves with men at first and third, hands the ball to Matt Andriese, who will face Cameron Maybin. Maybin 1 out of 2 tonight. He had a first inning base hit off Odorizzi before Cabrera grounded into a double play. So Cabrera's on deck. The pitch skied into right. Franklin is there to make the catch. The tag at third. Iglesias will score, and the throw back into second. So Maybin delivers a sacrifice fly, and the Rays lead cut to 3 now.
First baseman, Miguel Cabrera.
That's the first out of the inning. And Miguel Cabrera will be up. Cabrera grounded into a 5-4-3 double play in the first, struck out in the fourth, and now faces Matt Andriese. Pitch is down. Andriese pitched 5 1/3 innings in a start against the Tigers back in May, in that Friday game when they were in Detroit for the weekend. And he got the win. He gave up 4 runs. And a couple of those came on a home run by Cabrera. Cabrera was 1 for 3 against Andriese, and the Rays won that game 7-5. They lead 5-2 in the 6th inning of this one. And another move to first. 1 on, 1 out, 2 runs home. There's the foul ball. Out of play. Here's that home run we were talking about earlier that he hit to the opposite field.
I mean, look at the swing, how powerful. He seemingly swatted that ball over the fence out there in right field off of Matt Andriese. A pitch that was supposed to be in ended up and away. So that was just a case of mislocation.
Ground ball third. Longoria to Forsythe one and over to first. They get the second double play ball out of Cabrera tonight. Each time started by Longoria at third. 5-4, 3 and out. The Tigers settled for two. We're going to go to the bottom of the sixth. It's 5-2 Tampa Bay. Sixth inning of the Rays holding a 5-2 lead. Evan Longoria tonight 1 for 2. He came up with a double with 2 outs in the third to start that 4-run rally. Jake Odorizzi working 5 innings plus, allowing 2 runs. So he is the pitcher of record. Oswaldo Arcia facing Jordan Zimmerman. Arcia 1 of 2 tonight. Pitch is high and the count goes to a ball and a strike. Well, in the 16 prior games started by Odorizzi, he's come out of it 3-3. The Rays are 9-7 in the 16 games he's started. Here's a ground ball handled by Kinsler, and that's out number 1. Once again, we'll check in with Todd Kalas.
Dwayne, familiar face on the mound today. Before the game, it was Alex Cobb in what could be his final live BP session. Cobb was excited out there. He threw 35 pitches in 2 innings, had some good movement on his pitches. He had Nick Franklin and Steven Souza Jr. stepping in there in the box against him. And here is Steven Souza Jr. going yard. Steven hit a couple, one against Cobb, one against Garrett Whitley, and he circled the bases. You mentioned earlier, Souza Jr. heading out on assignment tomorrow, playing with the Charlotte Stone Crabs in Bradenton. He looked real good today. And guys, Alex Cobb may be able to start his rehab in the minor leagues after this last live BP. Depends on how he feels the next couple of days. Back to you.
Well, that's all some good news. Let's hope that it continues to move in that direction for both Alex Cobb and Steven Souza Jr. Jr. was here, Souza Jr. the other day and hit a couple out, hit a couple more out today. Conger lifts a high popper on the right side, and that ball caught by Kinsler.
Castellanos all the way over there again.
I know. I'll tell you, he's got great range.
Was behind him.
Yeah.
Got behind him for support.
Look at that right there. I mean, just all of a sudden.
Coaching him through.
Yep.
Niner.
2 up, 2 down against Zimmerman. Now it's Logan Forsythe. He's 2 for 3. Zimmerman here 2 outs into the 6th, allowing the Rays 9 hits, 5 runs. 4 of those earned. 2-0 now. Three balls, no strikes. Bruce Rondon up in the bullpen. Three-1. Down to third base. Castellanos with a throw to first. 3 up, 3 down, go the Rays. We'll head into the 7th inning. 5-2 Tampa Bay. Fox Sports Sun brought to you by Dodge. Visit your local Dodge dealer today. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. Through 6, first game of this series with the Tigers. Tigers in for 4. We'll be seeing a lot of this club here over the weekend. Rays have 5 runs off Jordan Zimmerman. And the Tiger bullpen stays busy. We go to the 7th, and here's Victor Martinez. This pitch is a ball. Martinez, Castellanos, and Upton due up here in the 7th. Shift is on for Martinez. High fly ball into right. Franklin will go back in front of the wall, and he makes the catch. Franklin out there because of the little hamstring situation that popped up with Jennings. Geyer moved over to play center, and Franklin taking over in right. Well, here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. The left-hander Drew Smiley on the hill for the Rays. We'll hear from him. And Orestes will break down the Tigers' power-hitting second baseman Ian Kinsler. Michael Fulmer will pitch for Detroit. We saw him in Detroit, and he is a very impressive young man. There's a strike to Castellanos.
Yeah, the talk around him is how are they going to manage his innings this year? They don't want him to go too far above and beyond what he threw a season ago, and so they're going to have to get creative on how he is used. In fact, I think in tomorrow's start, it's not going to be a normal 5-day turn. It's going to be out 7-8 days from his last start.
They anticipate in some cases that could be a week and a half between starts for him. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're protecting a guy, but he's not getting regular work, and therefore you can't expect him to be, you know, not going to be as sharp as you would like. You'd think. I mean, in theory.
The Rays hope that he's not, because when they saw him in Detroit, he was very, very good. One out into the 7th. 1-2 the count on Castellanos. So that'll be Fulmer and Smiley tomorrow. Blake Snell's going to pitch here Saturday against Justin Verlander and Chris Archer on Sunday. Fly ball to right. Franklin being tested again, and he makes the catch on the track. 2 gone. Again, Franklin had played a couple games out there a couple years ago. He was in the game and left here the other night. Two outs with the bases empty. Now Justin Upton. He was 0 for 2 against Odorizzi. Anibal Sanchez busy in the bullpen for the Tigers right now. There's a strike from Andres. There's Sanchez. Been pulled from the rotation, now in the bullpen. That's foul. Oh, 2. Upton caught looking in the second, the 98th time he has struck out this year. Hit a fly ball to right in the 5th. And is behind in the count here in the 7th inning. Upstairs. He would not chase, and it's 1-2. Two and 2. Andres in relief of Odorizzi, who made 108 pitches tonight in 5 innings plus. So Andres got credit for the full inning in the 6th. 2 outs into the 7th.
And once again, the Rays bullpen asked to get 4 innings worth of outs. Preserve this lead. Try to finish this game off. Matt Andres, 5 of them so far.
And he now goes to 2 and 2 on Upton. And a full count now, 3 and 2. Two outs, bases empty, 3-2 the count. Chopper to third. Longoria makes that throw to first, had to turn completely around, and the throw was right there on the money. 3 up and 3 down. Take another look at that play by Evan Longoria at third base. We're in the middle of the 7th, and the Rays lead this game 5-2. Tropicana Field tonight, the Rays hold a 5-2 lead. Moving into the bottom of the 7th inning, Jake Odorizzi, 5 innings, 108 pitches. He gave up 2 earned runs, striking out 7. And Nick Franklin at the big blow, a 3-run double when he pinch hit in the 3rd inning. Rays scored 4 in that frame. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Brad Miller will lead off against the new pitcher, Anibal Sanchez, in this game, in relief of Jordan Zimmerman. Been a tough go for Sanchez. And right back to the mound. Boy, that was a hot shot. And Miller is out, number 1.
And Brett Miller hit that ball right into the glove of Anibal Sanchez. And you're right, Wayne, it has been a struggle for Sanchez. Relegated to the bullpen, trying to get things working from out there. Just hasn't been the same this season after coming over to the Tigers.
Here's the breakout as a starter, 12 starts, a 671 earned run mark. First pitch to Longoria is a strike. Zimmerman gave up 9 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned in 6 innings. Struck out 3, walked 2, made 107 pitches. Longoria down to 3rd. It skips past the waving Castellanos. Evan heads into 2nd base, standing up. He's on for the 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, Castellanos kind of tried to play that off to the side and just waved at that ball as it skipped on by. Well, that's the difference between these two third basemen. Evan Longoria, see how he's trying to get that hop. Kind of shies away from it, gets the glove ready, and then you see him kind of pull off of it as he brings that glove up, and he just whiffed it.
It's a double for Longoria, his 23rd. There's a chance to build the lead again with Logan Morrison in the batter's box. Logan officially 0 for 1 as a sacrifice fly to get the Rays on the board in the 1st. He walked and scored in the 3rd, and then hit a fly ball to right in the 5th. Two and 0. Pops it up left side. Castellanos making the call. And that's out, number 2. So it's going to fall upon Brandon Guyer if the Rays are to add to their lead. Guyer came through with a big base hit, a line drive into center in the 3rd. Reminder, get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and make long-lasting memories. To reserve the Papa John's bullpen box, just call 888-FAN-RAYS or email groupsales@raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain. There's a pitch in the dirt, and over to 3rd goes Longoria on a wild pitch. The curveball bouncing in. 3rd wild pitch charge to Detroit pitching tonight.
Sanchez, he's been working down in the zone. And you see right there, that ball was able to get up into the midsection of Saltalamacchia and sneak off to the right. It gives you some pause here, maybe to go back to that pitch once again. Another pitch like that, Evan Longoria would score, and he did. He hung that one. You try to make that adjustment, bring it up a little bit. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, you know, don't bounce it. Don't bounce another one, and it leads to a run. And Guyer got a pretty good pitch to hit.
Now he takes a fastball right there, and it's 1-2. 2 outs. Longoria at third. Into the dirt again, bouncing away, but not far enough to give Evan a chance. Sanchez coming down off the mound to cover. 2-2 now.
And another breaking ball. This one, the slider. Same kind of carom.
Foul ball. Came with a fastball that time. Night game again tomorrow night. 7:10 first pitch, 4:10 on Saturday, 1:10 on Sunday. Two ground ball shortstop. Iglesias with the throw. Rays will leave a man at third. We're headed into the 8th. It's 5-2 Tampa Bay. More hits tonight. You can go online now to bid on hitting lessons with Logan. This one-of-a-kind experience includes a 1-hour session of hitting lessons, pre-game field passes, personalized baseball bats, and a lot more. And proceeds benefit the Rays Baseball Foundation and the Tampa Bay General Hospital Foundation. To bid, visit raysbaseball.com/auction. Logan entered this game hitting .300 and doubled in the first, singled in the fourth. We go to the 8th. Rays lead 5-2. There's Steven Moya, the big right fielder, leading off against Matt Andriese. Andriese has 2 innings under his belt. There's a strike. He had 16 pitches through the 6th and 7th, so he got 6 outs on 16 pitches. Odorizzi got 15 outs tonight in 5 innings plus 108 pitches. Close, but off the plate. The count is 1-1. Odorizzi struck out Moya on a changeup in an extended at bat in the 2nd inning, and then he lined to second, lined into a double play in the 5th. Pops it up this time. Short left. Miller going out from shortstop and is there in front of Dickerson to make the catch.
Yeah, Matt Andriese has done a nice job of coming in for Jake Odorizzi, inheriting a little bit of trouble. Gave up a sacrifice fly. Would get out of that inning. All of a sudden in the 7th, a 1-2-3 gets Moya here to lead off the 8th.
They got a nice double play ball out of Miguel Cabrera in the 6th to end all that. Now here's Jared Saltalamacchia.
So nice to have a guy that's able to come out of that bullpen and give you multiple innings. You know, they're working on his 3rd inning right here. Obviously, you know he's capable because he was starting.
First pitch strike. Curveball. And 1-1. Rays jumped to a 1-0 lead in the first. Made it 5-0 with a 4-run third. And it stayed that way until the 6th. Tigers got both their runs in that inning. Now we're in the 8th. Fly ball toward the line and the corner and left. Dickerson is there to make the catch. Saltalamacchia is the second out. 2 up and 2 down. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Another look at Nick Franklin, who's had a big hand in this game so far tonight. We'll hear from Kevin Cash in his manager's postgame press conference and further interviews from the clubhouse. Jose Iglesias now. Singled and scored a run in the 6th inning. Pitch is a strike around the knees. The line drive into left. Dickerson will chase it to the wall. Iglesias has his second hit. It's a stand-up double. His 13th double of the year.
Well, last at bat, it was a fastball away that he took to right field for a hit. Iglesias here gets a breaking ball. He just didn't get it to its spot. You could see the look on Hank Conger, the way he kind of hung his head there. They wanted that ball out on the outside corner, never quite got there. Iglesias gets around it and finds himself now at second base with 2 outs.
Well, now you go back to the top of the order, and there's always danger there in the power of Ian Kinsler. Kinsler singled in the first run of the game for the Tigers in the 6th. Pitch is a strike.
Yeah, and you do not want to mess around here with what you have lurking in this lineup. So make some quality pitches to Kinsler, and won't be easy, but retire him and move on. The Rays' big inning came with 2 outs and nobody on, and Jordan Zimmermann just could not shut that inning down, and the Rays had played 4 runs.
Tigers 1 of 1 with men in scoring position tonight, and that was Kinsler in the 6th. Foul ball back out of play. 0-2. Grease ahead in the count. Justin Wilson, the lefty, throwing in the bullpen for the Tigers. Time as Kinsler steps back. The 0-2. Ground ball third. Longoria looks it into the mitt and makes the throw to first. No runs, a hit, and the man left. Bottom of the 8th coming. 5-2 Rays. Sports Sun brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Back of the Trop tonight, we go to the bottom of the 8th. The Rays hold a 5-2 lead. Corey Dickerson leads off. He's had a couple of hits in this game. 2 for 3, and he's facing Anibal Sanchez, fouling away the first pitch fastball. Indians beat Toronto 4-1. Carrasco wins it. And a save for Allen. Dickerson takes it high. A couple of home runs for Cleveland. Rajai Davis hit one, and Kipnis hit his 11th. Donaldson hit one for Toronto. Dickey, the losing pitcher. Big cut and a miss on the curveball.
Change of pace there by Sanchez. The change of speed, getting Dickerson a little off balance. Now up 1-2.
14 strikeouts for Carrasco tonight, 7 1/3.
He has that kind of stuff. You know, that Toronto Blue Jay lineup, a lot of all or nothing types of swingers, and Carrasco obviously was on point.
Dickerson chases this one. So that's the first strikeout for Sanchez. David Ortiz, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and all of baseball superstars come together for the primetime event that will light up this summer, the MLB All-Star Game from San Diego, July 12th, only on Fox. Nick Franklin lifts a fly ball into left center, and Maben is there to catch it. He is now 1 for 3. Franklin got that big double to drive in 3 runs in the 3rd. That's the difference in this game right now. Base is empty, 2 gone in the 8th. Oswaldo Arcia now. Which is a strike. Rays in double figures, 10 hits, 5 runs. 2.
Sanchez coming out of that bullpen sharp. Seen all of the pitches. He's been down in the zone when he's wanted to be, up in the zone, like on that fastball to Corey Dickerson.
And to right, that's going to drop for a base hit over the shift and in front of Moya.
And just as soon as you say that, he leaves a pitch out over the plate, and Oswaldo Arcia takes it to right field for a base hit. Well, that is what really has plagued Anibal Sanchez as a starter. When you start thinking about having to go through a lineup, you know, 3 times, sometimes you're going to get that 4th time through, or at least start it. But over the course of, 5, 6, 7 innings, making mistakes like that add up.
And Conger takes the pitch down. Conger's grounded out twice, once into a double play. This is the pitch up. 1-1. Three-run game, bottom of the 8th. Detroit will have Maben, Cabrera, and Victor Martinez due up in their 9th. Conger now behind in the count, 1-2. Runner goes, the pitch in the dirt. And Arcia winds up at second base. So that's a steal for Arcia. Now in scoring position with 2 outs.
Well, there's the jump, and he picked a good pitch to run on, a breaking ball into the dirt. No chance for a play. Raise a chance for another run.
Ball 3 and around his knees, inside off the plate. And a base hit the other way. Into left center. Here comes Arcia in to score. Conger's digging for second, and he's in there standing. That makes it 6-2. Conger comes through with a base hit, a 2-out double.
Well, got a pitch away, stayed away, hit that ball hard into left center field, and hit it hard enough that you force a deeper angle by Justin Upton out there. That's what allowed him to get to second base. That pitch was running on its way off the plate away. And Hank Conger, look at him just follow that in and rake that ball out in there to left center. And that forces that deep angle by Upton. And then that allows, first of all, Arcia to score and Conger to get him to second base.
Now it's Logan Forsythe. Fastball is a strike. 5th double of the year for Conger, gives him 10 runs batted in. And a 6-2 lead for the Rays. One and one. Ball back. It's 1 and 2. Rays get Ryan Garten up in the bullpen. So there's Garten loosening in the Rays bullpen down the right field line. It's a 4-run game. Forsythe down 1 and 2. And another foul ball out of play. Andriese has given the Rays 3 innings, and he's done it on 27 pitches tonight.
The height of efficiency. I mean, 9 per. But you know what? That's what Matt Andriese, when he was starting and going well, that's kind of how he pitched as a starter. He didn't waste any time. He goes out there, he attacks the zone, he doesn't waste pitches. But I'll tell you what, 9 per over 3 innings. That's,
you can't get much better than that.
You really can't.
2-2. Forsythe would like to pick up another run here. Logan hitting .304 at the moment with his 2 hits tonight. And that's ball 3. Nice take on that pitch.
Anibal Sanchez had that initial reaction that was going to be strike 3, not ball 3. Immediately had to straighten up and take that ball back. Go back and try to make another pitch. Logan Forsythe right now, as far as strike zone and his swing, is locked in.
And he fouls it again. Well, the Rays scored 4 runs with 2 outs in the 3rd. They've scored another run with 2 outs in the 8th. Forsythe trying to make it 2 runs in the 8th. And he does just that. Base hit into center. Here comes Conger in to score. The Rays tack on another run. It's 7-2. Logan Forsythe, a 3-hit night. He drives in a run. And the Rays again up by 5.
You know, and not a bad pitch at all by Anibal Sanchez. Look at the plate coverage down and away. And this just goes to show you Logan Forsythe, that up the middle, the other way approach, and how effective it is. Those are the types of hits you give up when you never establish the inside part of the plate. You never stand a hitter up. You never let hitters know you're going to be coming in there, and so that they can lean out all over. You know, that's a good pitch. You can't make it better. You know, slider, kneecaps, outside corner, and a hitter like Forsythe still able to cover it because he's diving out over the plate.
Yeah, and that's a great point you make right there about not coming in. I don't know why more pitchers don't, just to make the hitter honest. Strike the count on Miller.
I mean, establishing the inside part of the plate makes that pitch unhittable. Or if you do hit it, it's going to be a little roller. You're not going to be able to dive out there and get that ball elevated and into right center field. Tough to do coming out of the bullpen. You know, you don't have a lot of time to establish. You have to come in and get outs. But that's a byproduct. Just a great job by Forsythe, too, and he's been red hot.
Now 2-1 on Miller. Well, 3 more hits for Forsythe tonight. Longoria has 2. He's been on 3 times. Guyer an RBI single. Couple hits for Dickerson. Jennings had a double before he left, and then Franklin the big 3-run double. Arce a couple of hits, including one here with 2 outs, a single, and then his steal of second. Conger doubled him home. Conger scored on the Forsythe base hit. Evan on deck, and a 2-2 count to Brad Miller. Strike 3 called, inside corner, caught looking. Rays add 2. We go to the 9th. 7-2 Tampa Bay. Tonight at the Trop, we move into the 9th. The Rays on 13 hits have 7 runs and carry a 7-2 lead into the final inning. Ryan Garten will take over on the mound. 5 innings for the starter, Jake Odorizzi, to qualify him for a potential win. Matt Andriese worked 3, and now it's Garton.
Yeah, and you'll be impressed, have been impressed with Garton and his stuff, the way that he goes out and attacks. 10 2/3 innings, he's got 10 strikeouts, and that's what he'll be asked to do here. Go out and make quick work of the Tigers in the 9th and get out of here with a win.
Cameron Maybin leads it off. Drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 6th. Officially 1 out of 2 tonight. And the first pitch is a fastball in there for a strike. Maybin, Cabrera, Martinez due up for the Tigers. One and one. Up the right side, that's a foul ball down in the bullpen. And a nice catch down there right in front of the bullpen bench. Nice glove work. That great defensive work continues down there.
It's like anything else. You get into a good rhythm, and you just make plays. The position makes plays. Now, if we could just get something on the back of the jersey, that'd be great. Maybe they have to earn it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, maybe there's so many plays, so many bullpen lives saved before you get something on the back of your jersey.
Yep. There should be something. There's a base hit out of the reach of Forsythe. Sharply hit. Maybin is aboard with a leadoff single in the 9th.
Number 24, Miguel Cabrera.
Now Miguel Cabrera 0 for 3 tonight, a strikeout and 2 double play balls. Cutting a miss. Challenging with a fastball right down the middle. Strike 1. This time a base hit off the fastball into left center. Maybin goes to third, and the Tigers have the first 2 men on, first and third. Well, they got the first fastball by him, but a base hit on the second one.
Yeah, and how big are the 2 runs for the Rays in the bottom of the 8th? The Condor
Enormous.
double, yeah, and the Forsythe extended that bat, flipping that ball out into right field. That took it from a 3-run lead to a 5-run lead. We're talking about the potential tying run coming to the plate right now if the Rays hadn't tacked on a few themselves.
Well, Ramirez is going to have to get up in the bullpen for the Rays. Here's Victor Martinez. 0 for 2. He walked his first time. Pitch is a strike. Two singles back to back, nobody out. Garton last worked on Monday in the Red Sox series. 2/3 of an inning in relief of Blake Snell. One and one. Garton trying to nail down the first out here in the 9th. Dealing with the middle of the order, and there's a strike. Good pitch there on the inside corner. 1-2. Ground ball headed toward the middle. That's going to get through. A run scores. Cabrera stops at second. Martinez just got it right through the middle of the infield to make it 7-3 on 3 consecutive hits.
There's that spike curve. Shorten the swing. Go back up the middle. Victor Martinez, an accomplished hitter. And I'll tell you, the Detroit Tigers trying to make a little noise here in the 9th, and that's going to bring Jim Hickey out.
So first and second in what is now a 7-3 ball game. Castellanos due up, and nobody out in the 9th. So this conversation gives the bullpen a few extra tosses down there. Fulmer and Smiley tomorrow night, game 2 of this 4-game series. We'll be with you on Fox Sports Sun beginning at 6:30, our coverage.
Number 9, Nick Castellanos.
And here's Nick Castellanos. And he's another tough out. 0 for 2 with a walk. You have Justin Upton behind him. A swing and a miss. Big cut on the fastball.
Had some cutting action to
Yep.
it.
You're right.
Took that right off the end of that bat. He threw it hard too, 90 miles an hour.
This one's going to drop into short left. Dickerson charges, and the bases are going to be loaded. So 4 consecutive hits. Nobody out, and here comes Cash. The Rays are going to have to go to the bullpen. They'll make the pitching change. The Rays on TV. You can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Sun and Rays baseball with you wherever you go. Erasmo Ramirez out of the bullpen. He worked an inning yesterday in the Boston series. Worked the 8th and picked up a couple strikeouts. He's on to face Justin Upton here in the 9th inning with the bases loaded and nobody out. That pitch is down a ball. Upton represents now the potential tying run. Rays open this inning leading 7-2, but 4 straight hits have made it 7-3 and loaded the bases. Upton has struck out, flied out, and grounded out. And he takes that one low. 2-0. Tigers start to get a little action in their bullpen. Liner into center. That's going to drop for a base hit. Another run will score, and the bases remain loaded. 7-4.
Well, this is escalating rather quickly. I mean, one after the other. Ball middle of the plate. Justin Upton goes right back up the middle. 5 straight hits here in the 9th inning.
They've scored twice. Bases loaded, and Steven Moya with big time power at the plate. He struck out, lined into a double play, and has popped out. And he takes the ball a little bit off the plate. 5 consecutive singles to open the 9th for Detroit. There's a cut and a miss. 1-1.
You can see they're trying to stay away from Moya, and that swing shows you why. That pitch soft away. He tries to pull it, pulled off of it. He's looking to do damage to the pull side.
So that big open stance. And a fly ball into right. Franklin is under it to make the catch. Tag at third. The man's going to score, and the throw goes to third. That's the first out. And the Tigers make it a 2-run game now. So the Rays essentially trade the out for a run. Jared Saltalamacchia will be the hitter, with Castellanos at second and Upton at first.
You know, and this is where Ramirez, likes to work down in the zone. Saltalamacchia, that's what he likes. He wants the ball down in the zone where he can get good extension. So you're going to want to stay away, make him beat you to the big part of the field, and stay away from him.
He's 0 for 2, walked and scored in the 6th. And a wave and a miss. Wilson the lefty, Rodriguez the closer. He's the right-hander. Ground ball. That's going to go through the open left side. Castellanos will score. Over to third goes Upton. Saltalamacchia makes it 7-6.
Well,
didn't hit it hard, but in the right spot.
That's it. Yeah, that's all you got to do with the shift. You're going to open up the whole side, and you see right here the Rays defenders. Everything else on that left side is wide open. And Saltalamacchia gets a pitch away. They stay away from him, but he takes it that way. And now you got big trouble, because now first and third, you're up a run, but that runner on third with less than 2. Boy, you need a. See how the Rays decide to defend this. Brad Miller right now is way in. So is Logan Forsythe. Hank Conger giving the signs out there, and we're going to see how it is, but this has gotten out of hand.
The hitter is Iglesias. Romine runs at first. And the pitch is inside, 1-0. Upton at third, Romine at first. The pitch misses down, 2-0. Four runs home in the ninth for Detroit. All four of the runs charged to Garton. Runner takes off and no throw down. That's a stolen base for Romine. And now the potential lead run is in scoring position. Three and 0 the count. That pitch was low. And ball four. So that loads the bases. And Jim Hickey heads to the mound again.
Well, and now you roll back over to the top of the order. Ian Kinsler, with that swing, he wants to elevate something into the outfield. That's what he does. Ramirez is going to have to work hard here for a ground ball. And if you get in a position with 2 strikes, and obviously you look to punch him out, but that's a long way off.
Well, the Tigers have made it a 1-run ball game, and they've reloaded the bases with only 1 out. Maben single started it. They had 4 base hits off Garton and a single off Ramirez. Sacrifice fly by Moya. Another base hit by Saltalamacchia. That made it a 1-run game. Romine running for Saltalamacchia, and then the walk to Iglesias. So Kinsler becomes the 9th hitter of the inning. He drove in a run with a base hit in the 6th. The pitch is low, blocked by Conger as it squirts off to the left.
Well, he kept it close enough. This is a fastball yanked down and away, and boy, you see that ball rattle off the hand, off the glove, and that's what kept it close. That could have been disastrous.
Checks on a pitch down. 2-0.
That's how badly Ramirez is working for that ground ball. Down in the zone, but he's missed twice. You would think that's going to force him to come up just a little bit, and Ian Kinsler wants to swing the bat.
2-0. And he takes it again low. 3 balls, no strikes.
And there is nobody warming up in the Rays pen. This is all Erasmo Ramirez.
Three and 0. Kinsler takes a strike. Now 3-1. Kinsler up in the count, and he fouls it back, so the count is full.
He swung at ball 4 is what he did. He swung at ball 4. Now make him pay for that. This ball off the plate the whole way. How much faith do you have in the changeup? Get him swinging here.
Here we go. It's his best pitch. And he walks him. He missed inside with a fastball. And that forces home the tying run. A 3-2 fastball missed by plenty. And the Tigers have scored the tying run here in the 9th on this ball 4.
Ooh, not going to be able to swing at that. That was a ball out of the hand. And there's your tying run.
Farquhar's up in the bullpen. And Cameron Maybin, who started all this, bats again here in the 9th. Down and away.
How quickly can Danny Farquhar get ready? And I'm sure it would be for after this batter if it does not go well. And the Rays pull that infield in. You know, they're not going to sit back and try to turn 2 like they were going to do with Kinsler because of Maybin's speed. So now you think about cutting that run off the plate.
Maybin sends a fly ball into left center field, and that's going to get away from Dickerson. Geyer backs it up. 1 run is in. Here comes another man. They clear the bases. It's a double for Maybin. Romine, Iglesias, and Kinsler all score. Maybin winds up at second. And the Detroit Tigers have taken a 10-7 lead. He just put it into play and got it into left center. Past Dickerson.
Yeah, Dickerson took a shallow angle. He took a shallow angle, and that ball got by him and over him. Everybody running. Look at that excitement on the Detroit Tigers side. Nobody saw this coming. And they're not done yet.
Cash out to make the pitching change in what is now a 10-7 ball game, Detroit.
Been a nightmarish 9th inning here for the Rays, and they just continue to hit. Came out with 4 straight hits, and then all of a sudden Upton's going to take one back up the middle, and it was just really a merry-go-round around the bases. Moya, the 1 out on a sacrifice fly, scoring Victor Martinez. Jared Saltalamacchia goes the other way against the shift, a wide open lane there for him, and it hasn't stopped yet.
Danny Farquhar, the new pitcher, facing Cabrera, and the first pitch is a strike. It's 10-7 Detroit. The Tigers scored 2 in the 6th and 8 in the 9th inning. Still only 1 out. 7 hits, 2 walks in the inning. Now 1-1. Well, Odorizzi was in line to get a win. Another no decision for him. And now Erasmo Ramirez on the hook. A swing and a miss. It's 1-2. Fouled back. So a 3-run lead. Rodriguez up in the bullpen. Francisco Rodriguez. Shot back into left. Dickerson is there to make the catch. Tag at second. Maybin's headed to third and gets there ahead of the throw. Man at third with 2 outs, and Victor Martinez on his way to the plate. Martinez singled into center to drive in the first run of this inning. Upton singled home another run. Moya got one home on a fly ball. Romine with a base with Saltamaki with a base hit. Romine ran for him. Then the walk to Kinsler and the double by Maybin cleared the bases. Martinez takes the ball. There's a strike. It's 1-1. Ground ball chopped to first, fair. Morrison steps on the bag, and that retires the side. 12 men come to the plate. The Tigers score 8, leave 1. Maybin's double cleared the bases, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. It's now 10-7 Detroit. the ninth inning, but 8 shocking runs by the Tigers in the top of the ninth. And it's now 10-7 Detroit. Mike Gaviles will take over in right field. Romine is now at third. James McCann is the catcher. And the first pitch here in the bottom of the ninth to Evan Longoria is a strike call. Rodriguez on the hill in relief of Anibal Sanchez, who becomes the pitcher of record. It's 1-1.
Well, base runners, turn the tables. They can put up 8 in the bottom or top of the ninth. The Rays can certainly do some damage here in the bottom of the ninth, but you need base runners.
Two balls and a strike. Morrison next, then Geyer. And a base hit lined into left by Longoria. So the Rays open the ninth with a single. Evans' third hit of the night. And that will get Logan Morrison to the plate.
It's a start.
It is indeed.
First baseman, number 7, Logan Morrison.
Morrison drove in the first run of this game with a sacrifice fly. Also walked and scored, otherwise 0 for 2. Morrison lifts a high fly ball into left. Upton makes the catch. 1 gone.
Center fielder, number 5, Brandon Geyer.
Well, here's Brandon Geyer. Geyer single in a run in the third. There's a strike to Geyer. Ground ball third. Romine, Kinsler 1, first base 2. And this one ends on a 5-4-3 double play. No runs, a hit, nobody left in the ninth. And the Detroit Tigers score 8 in the top half of the ninth to turn the tables on the Rays and win game 1 of this series 10-7. 7-14-0 for the Rays, 7 left, 10-11-1. 3 left for Detroit. And there's the game ending double play.
That's as bad a loss as you could get. I mean, that game was in hand. 5-2. The Rays tacked 2 on in the bottom of the 8th to make it 7-2. And then give up an 8th spot. They don't come much worse than this one.
Yeah, as bad a loss as we can recall. And the Rays are hoping that this will be the bottom. 10-7 the final. Again, Sanchez the winner, Ramirez the loser. Rodriguez picked up the save. For Brian Anderson, Todd Callis, and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast, if not the outcome. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, comes your way next.